guys, welcome back to The Uncomfortable Truth. I'm your host, Dirk, and unfortunately there's some really terrible headlines going on right now as news is news has been breaking, live updates following of the horrific terror attack in Orlando, Florida. I was in Orlando back in the late 90s. Other than the humidity and heat, being a city boy from up in the East Coast, I will say that Orlando is a beautiful place, full of beautiful people, just wonderful lifestyle and culture. Great tourist area next to, I would say, Vegas in New York, but Manhattan particularly. But the thing is as per Breitbart's feeds and Infowars, of course, who I love, terror in Orlando, approximately 50 plus dead, 50 plus more wounded at gay nightclub. Yeah, guys, you heard that right. Unfortunately, one of the worst terrorist attacks on American soil since 9/11. Here's a couple of headlines here from Breitbart News. Great job on their part, as always. Shots rang out early Sunday morning at a gay bar in Orlando, Florida. Early reports suggest that approximately 50 people are dead and 50 plus more are injured. It is the highest body count from a terror attack on American soil since 9/11. The FBI suggested that the attacker could have leanings to radical Islamic terrorism. Suspect ID'd. Omar Siddiqui Mateen, a U.S. citizen born to Afghan parents. This is the deadliest mass shooting in the history of the U.S. State of emergency has been declared. People are coming down there in droves to support the injured parties who need blood, with blood drives in the whole 9 yards. It's just a horrific circumstance. I don't think we've had an attack like this. A lot of people are going to say San Bernardino, which was bad, but I would actually say that this is much more akin, in my opinion, to the Boston Marathon bombings. It was just such a sudden, insane attack that came out of nowhere that instantaneously took out a lot of people, injured, killing them. All this horrific stuff happened, and yet again, it's an Islamic person, a radical. And of course, if you look at this the whole way, basically on one side, obviously everybody instantly goes into their respective corners. You know, the Republican side is going to talk about the Islamic radical problem and how the left doesn't really call it what it is, which is correct. And they're going to instantly start defending guns, which they always do. On the opposite side of the equation, it's going to be shrieking about guns and magazine counts, which they're doing. And, which they're doing as it is, and trying to sort of suppress the fact that this was a Muslim by trying to point out that not all Muslims are evil and that Christians are just as bad at times. And you know what? All of that is fine. Everybody should just take a breath and shut the fuck up and let this just unfold and we get to learn more. But I'm going to say my piece on this because I'm going to come from a place of truth. Donald Trump is running for president. He is our Republican nominee at this point. Nothing is stopping him. I don't think anybody has any kind of power play at the moment, Bill Kristol or otherwise, that can suppress or stop this man. He's been stumbling and bumbling of late. People have been turning on him like the Morning Joe people. But I will say this. When it comes to this stuff particularly, he is absolutely right. Trump was right when he said that all mosques need to be monitored as far as the Islamic issue is concerned. Because, guys, here's the problem. Whether it's Western Europe or America, outside of the Middle East, which is war-torn, the fact of the matter is we have an influx of Muslims who by far outnumber us. And while you are all right when you say that not every Muslim is a terrorist, unfortunately, a lot of the terrorists happen to be Muslim. Here's the thing that you need to take into account. These people do not like you. These people hate your way of life. They want you dead. And there's a lot of animosity, whether real or otherwise, about stuff that's happened through history as well as currently going on in that region. Whether it's our support of Israel, the history of Israel, whether it's the United States history with stuff like with the CIA and what have you behind the scenes and everything else in that regard. Simply put, and I'm not saying it's not their fault, that goddamn is. But here's the problem, though. By preaching political correctness, you open the doors for these people to exploit us at moments of weakness. While there might not be that many terrorists, what exactly number of them are terrorists is the question. Whether it's Western Europe, whether it's in the UK, France, which has been plagued by attacks of late, as well as us. England, unfortunately, probably will have a couple in the future because of the fact that there's so many of them over there. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I have no insight. I'm not calling for anything. I'm just pointing out the fact that there are massive problems. It is an out-of-control migration issue, if you want to call it that, and they're squeezing through those doors, and ISIS is continuously bragging and acting happy about the fact that they got a lot of their agents on our shores and otherwise, and at some point the shit will actually hit the fan, and we're going to have to be prepared for it. We're going to pretty much have to start living like people in the Middle East have lived for many, many decades. like the Jews, Israel lives basically. Any 5 seconds, someone could blow up next to you. So at this point, you have to figure there's got to be a failsafe in place where we do heavy-duty screening on these people to know if they're just normal, average Joes looking for a way of life, or if they are actually sleeper cells. And that's the scary part, because you just never know. Time and again, when we think it's all done, time and again, when we all think there's no more problems, they come back to bite us on our pampered asses. And we really got to reevaluate. And this is why I think that as long as he's being serious and truthful, Donald Trump should be our president. Only good things will come of it. He's right. Jobs are being taken overseas. We're being stepped on like doormats. On top of that, people make fun of us. They look at us like idiots. On top of that, the wall needs to be erected. We have an out-of-control populace of people coming through that is going to outnumber us. And when they get their right to vote, it's lights out. We're done for. We just don't have the numbers anymore. We lose our identity and what we are. As well as the fact that Muslims who look a lot like Mexicans will squeeze through. I work with a Puerto Rican woman who admitted to me that, as horrible as it is to say, she can't tell the difference between a Mexican and an Arab sometimes. Even she can't. What does that tell you about the rest of us? So the point is, we have serious problems. One of the ways to handle this is to stop the bullshit, stop the pandering, stop the political correctness. It is literally beginning to kill people. You should be able to, as long as you're not hurting people or calling violence. I am not hurting people. I am not calling for violence. I believe in peaceful ways. But I will say that you really need to grow a set of balls and stand up and speak out against this bullshit. Because our governments are bought and paid for. They're a bunch of scumbags. All they care about is the bottom line and their career advancement. They don't give two shits about us. They'll call us bad names while we elect them. They are not monarchs. They are not royals. We broke away from those people to become what we are, and we lost our way because they became too fat cat at the end. That's why Trump and even Sanders to a degree are doing as good as they've been doing. Hillary would be more the same, a fucking mistake. But I'm going to say that this is a horrible, horrible situation, and the gays actually, I will say, have been woken up. Why? They tend to lean liberal for the most part. They need a wake-up call. They're the first to jump up and lump themselves in with the Muslims, and 9 out of 10 Muslims hate the gays. They cut their heads off. They throw them off of buildings in many Middle Eastern countries, hellholes, if that matter, for that matter, rather. If they don't vote for Trump, they're out of their minds at this point. And I'm really curious to what Breitbart's own Milo Yiannopoulos has to say, because he's been extremely quiet. A guy that eloquent and opinionated is not really saying anything. It must have shaken him up. He's openly gay. Maybe he had some friends or loved ones in that area. I don't know. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying he hasn't spoken up, which is just surprising to me. I can't wait to see what he has to say, but I guarantee you Milo would agree with me wholeheartedly. We have a problem. Trump is right. I'm on Milo and Trump's side. And you know what? We need to stop the insanity. I don't care about the Muslims so much. We need to actually screen them, because you need to get to the bottom of who you bring in. God forbid all hell breaks loose. What are you going to do then? Anyway, this was Dirk with another Uncomfortable Truth. My heart goes out to all the victims of this horrific tragedy. And I just want to tell the Republicans and Democrats to shut the fuck up and chill out and stop making it all about them constantly. Donald Trump is right. Donald Trump for president. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.